Hello and welcome to the Atlantic Debrief, the Atlantic Council Europe Center's internet show and podcast on those pressing issues impacting transatlantic relations today. My name is Ian Brzezinski. I'm a senior fellow here at the Europe Center in the Atlantic Council. My guest today is Ambassador Georgette Mosbacher. She served as U.S. Ambassador to Poland, and today she joins us in her capacity as the co-chair of the Atlantic Council's programming on the 3Cs initiative. Ambassador Mosbacher, Georgette, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ian. It's always good to be with you.
Our discussion this morning is part of the Atlantic Council's annual Central Europe Week, a series of public events, roundtables, spotlight conversations taking place December 9 through 13, not just here in Washington, D.C., but also in Vilnius, Warsaw, and Prague. The goal of Central Europe Week is to foster dynamic U.S. Central European partnership that will drive forward common approaches to tackle pressing challenges before the transatlantic community. And today's debrief, our kickoff of Central Europe Week, we're going to address the 3Cs initiative and Central Europe's effort to modernize and expand cross-border regional infrastructure. So turning to you, Georgette, Ambassador Mosbacher, reminder of viewers.
Please, Georgette, Ian, we know each other too well. Thank you.
Georgette, reminder of viewers, what is the 3Cs initiative? What are its objectives? Who are its members?
Okay. The 3Cs initiative is a Central European launched and led initiative to drive forward cross-border energy, transport, and digital infrastructure. It consists of 13 states, all Central Eastern Europe, EU member states. And it's meant for them to collaborate to address a legacy of Soviet occupation, the dearth, if you will, of cross-border connectivity, especially the north-south connectivity, and how it's impeding commerce and how they can collaborate on being more resilient and enforcing the security for the region through investment in infrastructure.
Mm-hmm. One thing you mentioned is the north-south dimension. President Duda of Poland has always emphasized that it takes 2 to 4 times longer to go the same distance on a north-south axis in Central Europe as it does in Western Europe, because of the matrix, the far more robust matrix of highways and railroads and other forms of connectivity in that region compared to Central and Eastern Europe. But what do you think is the most distinctive feature of the 3Cs initiative?
Well, the distinctive feature of and I might add that this is unique for a region to put up first of all, the 3Cs fund, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But the most unique and distinctive feature of the 3Cs initiative is the fact that it's created to leverage the power of private capital to drive forward regional infrastructure investment. Was launched in 2022 with over $1 billion, and we now have proof of concept, because some of those projects that were launched at that time have shown how successful these projects are under the 3Cs initiative.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the region has got enough attractiveness to kind of really capture that kind of private sector investment?
Ian, it continues to be a mystery to me why the region is not booming with more direct foreign investment, because it's an economically vibrant region, full of still so much untapped potential. 13 EU member states, a population of 130 million. That's 30% of the EU. A GDP well over $2 trillion. And the GDP growth is projected growth to be over 30% by 2030. But it's growing right now at twice the rate of Western Europe. It has the highest rate of return on foreign direct investment. And we're talking about $500 billion to $1 trillion in infrastructure development needs. Now, I call that an opportunity. You build in the right place, and it will make money in this region.
Yeah, I've noted that some of those countries, that's actually double-digit returns on
It is.
FDI. And I love that line. You build it in the right place, it will make money.
I like it too, but it's your line. I wish I could take credit for it. I'm quoting you, Ian. I'm throwing your line back at you, Ian.
So, we're 10 years, almost 10 years into this initiative. This will be the ninth year, and its 10th anniversary will be in 2026. And, some people say it hasn't done much. Other people are overboard in their enthusiasm for it. And you were at 3Cs in the very beginning. You were the driver in the U.S. government when this initiative was launched. You saw the strategic opportunity. Looking back at these nine years, is it the glass half full? Is it the glass half empty? What has been accomplished over this last decade by 3C?
That's a good question, Ian. First of all, look, it is imperfect, but it is forging a new approach to regional development. And it's established a forum for Central Eastern European leaders to meet among themselves and with other world leaders. It's attracted investment from the United States government, $300 million debt facility with the US DFC. And it's establishing a brand that's generating global awareness of the region's economic potentials. And I'll have more to say about that later, but the region is becoming a powerhouse, and we have to get that word out, and that's what the 3Cs initiative is really creating.
Yeah, if I could add to that, the 3Cs Fund, which was, the kind of organizational core of the initiative, with $1 billion of money that they've invested themselves, $300 million from the United States. It might have attracted all the private capital that was envisioned for it, but I understand its rates of return are somewhere between 13, 15 or higher, or 15% or higher. That's remarkably successful, and even if it's not perfect, it just underscores how much potential there is in this initiative. Would you agree with that?
No question, Ian. It is a proof of concept. There's no question about that, and it is, it's in it's in the interest of the United States to have a Europe, its most important economic and security partner, that is more economically prosperous, resilient, and more military. Look, the proof of concept is there. Now we have to build on that. There is no question about the potential of this region.
How has the U.S. embraced 3Cs? I mean, you were in an official hat for almost 3 or 4 years, and then under the Trump administration, we're seeing the Biden administration. Has the U.S. government really embraced this initiative?
Look, U.S. presidents and cabinet secretaries have attended the 3Cs. Congress has formally endorsed the initiative and called for the United States government to support it. The Trump administration committed $1 billion to the 3Cs fund, and hopefully Fund 2, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but in the energy projects. Now, I hope to see that expand to digital. The Biden administration established a $300 million DFC facility already. And while the U.S. is focused on energy security, I do think that we'll see, we're going to be able to expand that to digital.
Mm-hmm. How about 3C's relationship with Ukraine? I've always seen Ukraine as kind of a strategic opportunity, but also more responsibility for the 3Cs, and more responsibility because, got to help a democracy in peril right in your borders. But it's also a strategic opportunity because it's almost like kind of the biggest greenfield realm of new infrastructure projects in the region. Should 3Cs be doing more with Ukraine?
Absolutely. The 3Cs region and Ukraine have a common geography and much in common in terms of historical experience, Soviet occupation, hegemony. But 3C's economic reforms can be applicable to the Ukraine economic transformation. And both 3Cs and Ukraine have a shared interest in Ukraine's security and its economic reconstruction, its modernization, and integration into Europe. The 3Cs should be positioning itself to play a leadership role when it comes to international support of Ukraine reconstruction. And I would like to see Ukraine in some capacity be part of the 3Cs initiative.
Gotcha. I'd love to see it as a member. And you're kind of pushing us into I think of kind of the last focus of our time together here is looking forward. So President Duda and Poland, and hopefully the government of Poland, will be hosting the next 3C summit, probably in Warsaw this spring. What do you think ought to be the agenda of that summit? What should be the agenda of the 3Cs going forward? Do you see a need to kind of shift 3Cs from 3Cs 1.0 to 2.0?
Ian, I think that this is a crossroads for the 3Cs initiative to go to the next stage. And it's critical that finally we institutionalize it. We need a secretariat operating to market the region, to serve as a library of the opportunities and contact points, to organize events, represent the initiative. Look, we need a phone number, we need a website, but more importantly, we have an opportunity to put up the fund too. And I truly believe that the 3Cs fund too. Now remember, there's still $700 million from the DFC that's already been earmarked. The opportunity there, instead of it being driven by governments, it should be driven by the private sector. And we've already gone over why this region looks so attractive. But without that office, I would say, one, you need the office. You need to really develop with a PR plan, the brand 3Cs, so we can really educate the rest of the world about the opportunities in the region. We also need a lobbyist, quite frankly, at the EU level to make sure that the 3Cs region is getting the kind of attention it should get with respect to what's happening in all of the EU. We need to, I would hope to see that the 3Cs countries make a token investment in the second fund, but that shouldn't be, the fund should be driven by private sector. We need a fundraising team that can take a roadshow and go around the world to raise the money. It is so attractive, as you said earlier. The returns are there. We've proven they're there. The money will come, but you don't get it if you don't ask for it. And we need to put a prospectus together, a sales brochure. We need to get a fund manager that will put money in the fund, support the secretariat, and support what we need to do to really market this and attract the kind of infrastructure, private sector money that is out there. And this is a opportunity, there's no question in my mind, but we do need to go to this next level and make this, institutionalize this and make it serious about this. We have to better attract and leverage private capital. It can be done, but it can't be done in a vacuum.
That's great. Maybe if I could throw on an ending is that, here we are in Washington, at least here I am in Washington, D.C. with a new administration, also new governments coming on in Western Europe and some in Eastern Europe. And to sustain the momentum of 3Cs, to make it from a glass half full to 3/4, if not totally full, I think 2025 has got to be all about, as you point out, institutionalizing it with a secretariat, driving forward the reforms or the upgrade of the funds or a new fund so it's more attractive to private capital, and I think you would agree, adding a real focus on Ukraine.
Ian, I would add
and responsibility.
I would add one more thing to it. And I think that each one of the 3Cs countries should have a special envoy designated at an ambassadorial rank to the 3Cs so that we can really move these infrastructure projects and these opportunities. If investors know that the governments are invested in this and want to make change legislation, make it easier to get these projects up and going, it's going to be a lot easier to raise the kind of money that we'd like to see in the fund too.
Thank you. Well, if I could just sum, Ambassador Mosbacher or Georgette, you've hammered the agenda: institutionalization, upgrading 3C's funds so it's more applicable to attractive to private capital, Ukraine, and then government involvement and commitment into it. Thank you so much for joining us today, Georgette, and everyone else. I hope you'll join us virtually, and if you're possible, pop in person at Central Europe Week this week. Thank you.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas.